all engage in prayer to this all-powerful God, we can only ask, well, where was God when this happened? Why didn't God help people? So
today we're dealing with the issue of Hurricane Katrina. And why should that be of concern of American atheists? Because, you know, whenever you have a natural disaster, number one, there's call for prayer. It's another excuse for the religious people in government to impose their religion, and it's usually the Judeo-Christian point of view, on the rest of the public, to act in the name of religion, to pander to religion.
A few years ago, secular groups in America joined together for what they called the first ever Godless March on Washington. Ellen Johnson was the organizer and the first speaker, and the idea was to make America sit up and take notice.
Actually, this is a march for all Americans. All Americans are godless Americans because there is no God.
It was really a day of pride and recognition to talk about, you know, who we are, to come together as a movement, to bring the different groups together and, you know, do something for the atheists in America. And again, like I said, we wanted to see if it would be successful, and everybody loved it. They want another one right away.
The motto of the Godless Americans March on Washington declares that we are free, proud, and on the move.
At the heart of the US Constitution is the principle of the separation of church and state, the idea that there should be no established religion in the country. It's a principle that American atheists want to ensure is strictly upheld.
It's important that the government not establish religion in any way, whether it's the President of the United States talking up religion or denigrating people who are not religious, funding through tax dollars religious organizations, saying they don't have to pay taxes, giving them special privileges or special rights. So we file lawsuits whenever the government does things that favor religion in that way, or gives it special rights in that way that other people don't have. We file lawsuits as one of the things that we do to keep that separation, what Thomas Jefferson called a wall of separation between state and church.
The rationale for including secular believers within religious education in the 21st century is overwhelming. By doing that, we produce the same sort of across-the-board consensus that we've managed to do with the different world religions. They are very happy to be included in religious education, and in a society in which 15.5% at least of people claim to be secular believers, by including them in, we are pursuing something which is genuinely educationally inclusive. And that's not just because inclusivity happens to be on the government agenda at the moment. It's worth doing for itself, for a truly inclusive religious education.
If RE is supposed to be contributing to mutual understanding, to learning about our deepest beliefs, then I think it is important that just as young non-believers learn about Sikhism, what Jews believe, what Christians believe, it seems reasonable for them to learn a bit about what we believe. We share this planet, and we have to learn to get on with each other, and one way is to learn a bit more about what each other believes and to remove some of the fears.
I think some teachers may feel themselves ill-equipped to handle atheism and secular humanism because they've been used to describing it in negative terms, that these are people who don't believe in God, who don't subscribe to Christian doctrine or other religions, who don't go to church, and it's easy to portray them in negatives. The difficult bit for some teachers is to portray them in positives, that people with these life stances aren't actually a gang of no-hopers. They've got very positive beliefs, and when we talk to adults and children who hold these life values, we should talk to them about what they do believe in rather than what they don't believe in. And that's why it's right to call this series Secular Believers.
Belief systems are not just about ideas, they're about values, they're about ways of living. And I think that thinking about secularism as a belief system does allow you to be able to explore the idea of secular values, secular ways of living, and that I think really helps you understand some of the things that are happening in the modern world.
I think some teachers worry that humanism is a little bit abstract. It doesn't have all the traditions, the colourful habits and food and festivals that are associated with religions. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean it's particularly difficult either for them or their pupils to take on board. I think their pupils will recognise it. I think many of them will say, as they do when I visit schools, that's exactly what I believe about X, Y or Z. And I think it can be described in very simple terms.
I think when we approach secular believers, we should first of all look at their identity. Who are they? We need to know about their backgrounds, their experiences. Some of them have had conversion experiences into their secular life stance. Then we need to know what they believe, what makes them tick, what sort of root beliefs influence their pattern of life. And that naturally leads into how do they live, what are their ethical values, what do they do on a day-to-day basis, how does it impact on their family life, personal relations, matters of that sort.
I think the best place to start when looking for resources about humanism is our website, because there you will find all our briefings about social and ethical issues, and you can download them and use them freely. And you'll also find lots and lots of recommended resources. I think young people are often fascinated by humanist ceremonies because they are the most tangible tradition, if you like, in humanism. So a video or someone who'll talk about a humanist funeral or a baby naming or a wedding can be a very useful starter for a lesson, which can then go on to discuss bigger issues like why do we get married, relationships, what do we think happens when we die, all of which I think are excellent philosophical questions for Key Stage 3.
I think it's important for teachers to remember that there are pitfalls in dealing with secular believers, just as there are pitfalls with dealing with religious believers. And sometimes, just as if you invite the wrong religious visiting speaker, you discover you've brought into the classroom a religious fanatic, and from a religious education point of view, you start getting a bit worried about the sort of things this person is saying. Their mirror opposite exists, and that is the anti-religious fanatic, and she or he can be just as unhelpful in the classroom as the religious fanatic. I think teachers can embrace the question of secular believers within RE enthusiastically, because secular believers are in every class and are in every staff room and are in every workplace in society. And so the children we are teaching, it's not merely are going to meet them at a distant future point, they meet them every day. And all that we're doing by including this within religious education is giving an opportunity for careful, critical study of where secular believers come from, what they hold dear, and the pros and cons of their life values.